Coach Rolan, first day with the pads on. What more did you find out today that you finally sound a little bit more like football out here with all the pads?
Yeah, definitely the better sounds, a little more football sound to it. That was good for our guys to come back after 2 good days, hitting on a 4-day stretch here. So, seeing those guys, if they come out with some sense of urgency, a little, aggressiveness, and built from the first couple days here and in a row. And, I think what you see a little bit is our older guys, the leaders, sort of a little more vocal, pushing our younger guys a little bit. Because we got some young guys who are going to play, and it was good to see them.
Specifically, we'll get to your guys in a moment, but just as the program overall, since when you got here, I believe in 2019, where have you seen just the belief in this program grow ever since you got here under Coach Hill?
Yeah, my first year here, you definitely coming off a tough previous season, and we've had some really good leadership with even like a DJ who's back now, and with the Chins and those guys, and once they got the taste of it, the feel for it, and also more so how you practice, how it carries over to games. That's the thing, is continuing to understand the importance of every day. But our guys, their expectations are definitely a lot higher. No doubt about it. It's at where it should be. In this kind of program, and Coach Hill's put together. The previous years before I got here, who've really developed these guys, and now you're starting to see some results. And now it's just time to finish some games and finish the season better.
I know a lot of it has to do with his hype, and also the league's filled with really good quarterbacks. But I also think at times Nick maybe doesn't get as much conversation as what he should get. You being able to coach him each and every day, how has he improved just from day one to now, and what makes him just such a talented guy within the room as a leader and let alone as a player?
Yeah, I think honestly sort of like that, the non-talk, because it drives him. He's always had that chip on his shoulder, obviously. People have always said that. But his self-confidence is greater than all the other stuff that might not be being said about him. And definitely seen the leadership get better and better each year. This year I think is at his best, which it should be. He's a little more vocal now. He knows what it's supposed to look like during a practice, during a hot day, off the field. He's holding himself to a higher standard, I think, with his body and his preparation. And so whenever you have a guy like him who's put in so many reps on this field and other fields, obviously, that it's definitely starting to show. He wants it. I think the only reason you come back in his situation, he's already got the degree, he's about to get a master's, MBA. I mean, the only reason to come back is to win a championship. So, every day, just that's a reminder you can walk out here. And so it carries everybody, it carries over to everybody else in their room and on our offense. So.
You mentioned carries it in the room. How has he helped the other quarterbacks in that room? And granted, you hope nothing happens and you have Nick for every game and there's no worries, but you understand that you got to have a room there and you have to have a stable of guys, even though a lot of the attention is going to be on Nick.
Yeah, I think him sort of modeling the way, leading the way. I mean, the preparation throughout the season and now through fall camp, I think it's great for those guys to be held accountable by him. We sit in that room a lot together, and we have all types of conversations. But with Nick, he knows what our expectations are. They see him having answers. They see him able to stand up on the board and draw and understand not only what we're doing, what the defense is supposed to do. His just the way he carries himself. I think they also see how he does in the locker room. Taking care of your body. All those little things that those young guys need to see, and it's been great. And Hunter's been here for a couple of years now. Mike now, Trey's going on to his second season. It's for Hunter and Mike. Those guys have been with him. I would think they've seen the change really over the past year and a half, I think, too. So it's been good for those guys. They'll continue to get ready for the possibility of getting in on snap too. So they got to be mentally ready to do that.
When you look at the experience that the guys last year up front, specifically on the offensive line, had, it seems like they're able to use that to get bigger, to get stronger, but also just that experience. Where's Coach Clark's group you feel like has improved the most and what you've been able to feel out here in camp?
Today the key word for us in the quarterback room was communication and commitment, and that's where up front those guys being on the same page. That's the most important thing. When you have guys who've been in the fight together, like we have, Noah being a new guy to come in, he's a smart football player, and but we've had a much better camps thus far with multiple looks and things from a defense that it doesn't seem to affect them as much. They play together. They like each other. The O-line room's always different. They're a bunch of just sweaty animals in there, and Coach Clark does a great job of getting it out of them, in his own unique way. And those guys sometimes resemble that, and but with Chase and Derek and Jake, Cogs, I'm sorry, they put a lot of experience in, and they're ready, and they're older, and they want the best. So
I don't think there's ever been a year, Coach Rolan, when I've been around and I've looked at a Southern team and go, they really lack skill, especially on the offensive side. But it does feel like this year, whether it's at receiver, running back, obviously a quarterback with Nick. I know you lose a lot at tight end with what Jacob and Tice did last year, but still I think guys you have confidence in. Is in terms of the talent pool you have around, do you have a lot of stock in those guys? It seems like there's many names that you can pull from at any different time.
Definitely. That's one thing I think it's changed a little bit since my first season here. On the call sheet you might have 2 or 3 guys' names on there to get the ball to. Now we have a lot, and that's a good feeling. It's also one of those you got to prepare for and plan for and be on the same page with all these guys. But yeah, I couldn't have. This is a great group of guys with special talents, good athletes who can do things with the ball, without the football. Opens. We got to be careful of not getting too crazy with it, probably as coaches, and narrowing it down for those guys to be at their best. That's our job, is to put our players in those positions to be at their best, and for our offense to understand that there's going to be at receiver, everybody wants the football. There's only one of them. Same thing with our tailbacks and everything. So you got to have a humility about you. You got to have the team first mentality. I believe they're doing a good job of that right now. And that's the main focus for them is, hey, it could be one week I get 8 catches and next week I might get 1, and they got to be great with that. And as long as we're winning and moving the football, then their time will come. We got a lot of them, put them a lot of places on the field, and that ball will hopefully with Nick will find them. So.
In a way, I feel it's a very simplistic question that I'm about to ask you to end it. But come September 2nd, when you play against Austin Peay, when other coaches turn on and they see the SIU offense go, what are the biggest ways, maybe the biggest word you want them to describe the way your offense to look, that you hope the way it will look and be described in how they play?
Yeah, I think disciplined, and that's not just saying penalties and not saying lining up correctly. We have a lot of experience, like you said previously, at the skill position as well, and so lining up correctly with a purpose, and I hope when guys turn on the film, when we turn on the film, that's a disciplined football team. They may look like they do a lot, but they're doing it really well, and so that will create the big plays that we're looking for, that explosive play. But I think discipline for our guys, and then obviously finishing. When they turn it on and they see that end of the quarter, end of the half, end of the game, our guys are finishing, and that's obviously what we've been talking about a lot, and that's what we want to change from last year. You're one play away, and that's how this league is, so competitive. And I want to see our guys being disciplined, and that includes with their bodies right now, throughout the beginning of the season, managing their bodies so we can stay healthy, and then having that mentality of we're going to finish.
We talked about the offensive line strength earlier in our interview. It looked like Coach Clark was pretty well rested today. I heard a rumor that he was able to take a nap at some point during the day. Being on the offensive side, does that mean you got to give him a little bit more to do, or do you, Coach Rolan, have time to also find ways to be creative during camp to get a little bit of a power nap?
Yeah, I wish I could be as creative as him. He's a little bit older, those knees, it's just a little bit older guy now, crossing that 5-0 barrier this past season, and it's, we can't throw him under the bus too much. But yeah, when you walk in and he's under the desk, only curled up a little bit, it's a little bit ammunition. I'm glad this is getting brought out in front of the public. He needs to be humbled a little bit. He talks a big game, but that old body, he's got to prepare for it a little bit better.